I like to make fun of martial arts idiots because, well, it's extremely fun. And today's no different. Indonesians are a friendly people, but they also seem to really love abusing their elderly, women, and young children. I'm a big fan of adults gathering around and playing make-believe, or teaching other people ancient sacred techniques passed down from lonely pedo to lonely pedo. Most importantly, I wholeheartedly support humans throwing or attacking other humans with objects. Or just this, a human battering ram training. I 100% endorse this. The tire to the face is one of my favorites, and I have used it before, because I'm not entirely sure what it's training, but this bloke turning his face to cop one right to the cheek is comedy editing treasure. I spiritedly advocate for throwing giant boulders on the backs of grown men. If this old fellow wants to volunteer to have his back and soul crushed by a boulder, who are we to tell him no? I can feel his life force leaving his body, and the shit leaving his bowels into his pants. This skinny bloke suffers a similar fate and needs to be hugged back to health.
2 seconds later.
But forget him. What concerns me are the children on the right, clearly shitting themselves after seeing what just happened.
You are next.
Children are lined up and blasted with boulders in an act that would constitute child cruelty in most countries, but just a standard Saturday in the Indonesian jungles. This little shit kicker was almost crushed by the boulder, and the cameraman chuckles as he witnesses what is essentially a small child being assaulted by an adult male with a giant rock. That's my kind of dude.
Urung-urung Melayu.
While the West asks for consent from children to touch them, Indonesians just launch at their kids. This happens repeatedly as grown men stand around cheering and filming the abuse. Equal opportunity bouldering is important, so it's important that ladies are involved in all areas of this crazy shit. This woman had the nerve to speak back to a man and was dealt the appropriate punishment a young woman should receive for this indiscretion. Her young teenage brother was also punished for allowing his sister to speak and make eye contact without permission. As was her father, who received the traditional stick-to-brick punishment on his head. In fact, her entire bloodline was punished with sledgehammers to the head for her behaviour. So I hope she's learned to keep her damn mouth shut, stay in the kitchen, and do whatever she's told. Seriously though, what the f*** is this? They are barely touching it and it breaks. I could drop my nutsack with more force, and can proudly say I've done so on some chins in my time. Thank you, Paul.
I'll just bring Paul over here. Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
This man relives his days as a butcher in a slaughterhouse and practices his moves on a bunch of shirtless men, plus women who appear to be there against their will. Of course, in between that, there is the standard boulder launching and smashing sticks on heads. If I were a skeptical man, I'd say it's all fake. Smashing coconuts, lights, bricks, whatever. I think it's a bit of both. The boulders are real. The bricks and stuff almost certainly are not real. The brain damage and CTE? Definitely real. So what's the moral of all this? Use your head purely for thinking and bopping around to decent tunes. If you're willing to risk your brain cells by smashing something against your skull, then I assume you probably don't have a lot of spare brain cells. With that said, natural selection at play though, innit?
To be a moron.
Yeah,
To be moronical.
exactly. To be a moron.
An imbecile.
Yeah.
Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
I assume you're thinking that's the end, but it wouldn't be Bullshido without some inner chi spiritual woo-woo crap, and the Indonesians have their fingers in everything. This fella here, who has the footwork and posture of somebody who has never thrown a punch in his life, is a master of chi and can transfer his powers to people.
What you see here is the native Indonesian toss bag in its natural environment, flopping around like a turd in the wind.
Meanwhile,
I think this guy may have oversold it a little bit. This woman looks like she's at a rave or practicing Steven Seagal moves. Both equally impressive. And these young fellas have clearly played way too much Street Fighter and think Hadoukens are real. Because Hadoukens are real, bitches.
Hadouken! 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 Hadouken!
This is not an attack on Indonesian people, just these specific Indonesian morons. The Raid movies were awesome, and so were the two little dudes in John Wick.
Senang bertemu Anda, Mr. Wick. Bangga bertarung dengan Anda, Mr. Wick.
This shit we've seen here today is just voodoo woo-woo nonsense mixed in with some extreme bodily harm. Instead of using this as self-defense, I would suggest kiss your attacker. Put your tongue down their throat. Maybe grab their cock and give it a tug. You'd honestly have a better chance of escaping. That is to say, these skills do have a purpose though. Very useful for household domestic chores. Alright legends, thanks for riding along on this Bullshido journey. If you had some fun, please consider liking and subscribing as it helps the channel tremendously. I absolutely encourage hate comments down below. Tell me how much of a know-it-all loser I am. It all helps. There's some awesome Bullshido merch for the trendy, fashionable champions out there, as well as a unique bunch of Seagalians who support the channel through Patreon.
I fucking love you. I love you.
I fucking love you too. I fucking love you too.
If you don't want to do any of the above, you can go and twist on a giant horse's and of course, thank you, Paul. We love you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Paul.
Until next time, my friends, don't smash any bricks on your wife's head, unless she deserves it. Definitely don't throw boulders on your kids, unless they deserve it. But above all, stay awesome. Peace, legends.
Steven Seagal is here to save the world and make everything ace. Steven Seagal was born with the blood of almost every single race. Disarming nuclear bombs, or freeing birds stuck in trees.